mic, make lots of loud noises just before the stream starts in earnest. Alright, we'll just take a look over here and then hit reload, and then I think we are ready to roll. So, we are going to be working on the climbing thing. This is where we left off. We left off with the ability to start to climb. We have now figured out some of the basics on how climbing should work. There's not really any visuals or anything, but I want to make sure that this does work in terms of the angle and the way in which we move through space. So we're going to mock up some interiors, some stuff. I guess the first thing we're going to want to mock up is some kind of chair. And the way we're going to mock these up is we're going to have everything made out of two different meshes, two different categories of mesh, because we are treating handles, things we can grab, as a different kind of object, and I'm not real confident I can get Unreal to do that if everything is just one mesh, but it could be that we use invisible. Yeah, that would make more sense, wouldn't it? Like just invisible handhold objects that happen to be in the same space. All right, let's create a chair. So this is a 2-meter block. It's obviously much too large for a chair, and we'll just scale it down. Now it is a 1-meter block, which is still a bit large for a chair, but it's fine. We're just prototyping at the moment. We are going to start to cut. My neighbors are having, it's not even a party. I don't know what it is. They are loudly blaring somebody's talk radio show, so hopefully you can't hear that. Even if you can, it sounds like this. So you won't be offended regardless of what random crap they're doing. Yeah, what am I doing? Let's do it the other way. So basically there are a couple of ways to box model a chair, and we're just gonna go with something pretty primitive just to get it working. So these chairs are going to be bolted to the ground. That's what makes a chair good, at least in a boat, right? And normally these chairs are going to be against a wall, so while in most cases your chair would have a front that comes down to get bolted into a leg, we're going to actually pull it from the back instead. The good part of that is that we're going to use the same pull for our what do you call it? Back. Brilliant job streaming today, Craig. Alright, so we're just going to pull this down into a leggy sort of thing, like this. And then we can, maybe a little bit less than that. There we are. And now obviously we don't want the back to look like this. We would like it to have some panache, some pizzazz. So to do that we are going to end up demolishing it. We just don't need a lot of these elements here. Oh, it's starting to really rain. That's a little bit unfortunate. It's okay though. I gotta go seal the door. Hold on. It was nice. So I had the door a little open, but it turns out that was not going to work out on a day where suddenly there's a massive windy rainstorm in the cards. So, well, that didn't work. Try that one more time without the sucking. So now we're just going to close this loop. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. And we can do whatever we want with this. I think we're going to want to... Nope, that's not it. There we are. So we're going to want to make this feel a little bit more organic, and there's a lot of ways to do that. One of the ways that we can do that is by just moving this down a little bit and just adjusting it to be a little bit less mass lossy. There we are. And, you know, we can make this as detailed as we would like, but we don't need it to be very detailed, so we're not going to. We're just going to make it really basic. Now, for the arms, we are going to want much thinner arms here. So we're going to pull this over, and I think we're going to go with 1/10 meter grips, at least for now while we're experimenting. So to get that grip, we're going to want to put that grip in an easy to understand place, like say there, which is not, you know, exactly on a meter marker or anything, but it happens to be an easily understood 1/10 of a meter, which is something I can work with, right? Now we're just going to extrude on the x-axis, which I should have done beforehand, but I didn't. Doop. We've got some silly damage here in the middle, which we will just get rid of. And then we will oh, we can't combine because the seat's all screwed up, isn't it? What are you? Oh, of course. Now we'll combine by distance. And just to finish the seat off, we're going to give the back just a little bit of attention. So just raise it up a little bit more like this. And then we're going to want to create a slant to the entire chair, which we do by just selecting the face that we're trying to curl. And I think that will include the leg down. No, it's not going to include the leg. There we are. And then we can just Alt-Shift-S and see it tilt. You can do whatever you want with that tilt. We're going to create a little bit of chair in our chair. Won't that be nice? And we're also going to want to add some padding, which we'll do just by extruding a pad. But this is a little bit too tall, so we're going to drop this down. That's too far down. There we are. And then we can extrude a pad up. Except for that's not the way we're going to do it. What we really want to do is duplicate the pad and then extrude it up. That way it's a separate object. And the separate object can be beveled. Okay, so I screwed it up somehow. There we are. What a glorious pad that is, I'm sure you'll agree. It looks just wonderful. And we're going to want to do the same thing with the arm of the chair. Right now we've got it just too thick. So in order to bring it down, we'll just drop it down the same amount and then add in a little bit of a pad. And bevel it. More or less, right? And then back here we can add in a little bit of something a little bit more fun, something like this. Just a little bit. It looks like we've damaged the... Oh, we damaged it because of this here. We lowered part of it, not the other part of it. Not the greatest. What we're going to do is fix that just by grabbing this, double G-ing it, and then moving it down. And then we will try and adjust this. Okay, so hold on. You know what? This is not worth trying to fix. Just undo, 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 undo. There we are. Just actually grab all the things that you need to grab instead of doing it wrong. If you do things right from the start, you'll get a better result. Of course, it's also fine to do things wrong from the start, but I should have done this before we did our seat tilting, because now I've got to like re-estimate the tilt. Just it's close enough. I could also delete that section and just re-extrapolate the faces or whatever, but it's not really that important. We're fine like this. There we are. And then once again, let's add in just a little bit of something here, just to make it feel a little bit more natural. And there, we've got a chair. Let's go ahead and just block it out with some materials here. We'll call this metal. And we'll just bring the roughness down and the metallic up. And we're going to make it a little bit less white. Something with a little bit of gunmetal in it will be good. There we are, something like that. And then we're also going to need cloth, which we are just going to make some god-awful orange 70s color. And bring that roughness way up. And we're going to obviously use that for these. Switch here. There we go. There are lots of other things that we're going to want to do in like a final version of the chair, but we don't need a final version of the chair today. We are just trying some things out, so we're not going to worry about it too much. We're going to just see whether or not this works as well as I hope it will. One of the issues I've got here, though, is that we made a mirrored chair, which means we can't simply stack them. If I was going to do this, for example, this is not a couch. It might be close enough. We're going to try it. We're going to see whether or not we can make it work. So we're going to name it generic chair. And we are going to export it into Unreal, which we should be able to do using this button here. Boom. Hop over into Unreal. And there it is. Import that generic chair. Oh, I forgot to UV unwrap it. Give me a moment. We got to just go back in here and then go in and UV unwrap it. And then over here, we got to make sure that we tell it to offset this. Now let's export it again. All right, so now in here we should have a static mesh. There it is. It's called SM Cube. Did I name the interior? Oh, for fuck's sake, I hate that. See, I called it generic chair, but I should have been calling it generic chair. Obviously, right? Delete this one. I don't need it. All right, so here we have our generic chair. And basically what we're going to want to do with this generic chair is create some grabbables. So the grabbables that we're looking to create are going to go on the arms of this chair. To do this, we are going to harvest the components. We're going to call this a grabbable chair. It doesn't need to be a static mesh actor. It just needs to be an actor. Where's actor? Actor. Select. There we go. We have a mesh that is just a mesh. We're going to add in some grabbables. We're going to go ahead and use something that's got some directionality to it, since we're going to make it invisible so it can look however we want it to look. To do that, we're going to maybe try out... I think that it would be good to try a cone. There we are. We've got a cone. So the idea here is this is going to be the grabbable, but of course it's going to be invisible. The cone is currently much too big, but we're not going to worry about that too much. We're not going to resize it. We're just going to make it invisible, so it doesn't matter. But that should tell us which direction we're going to be grabbing from. And the problem here is that there's actually like a 5 centimeter gap. So we'll just bring it down to 5 here. And of course, that's much too far back. We'll drag it forward like this. And we're going to mark this as containing stuff. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do the other thing. It's fine. We're going to go ahead and create an empty object in here. What's it called? Just an actor? Child actor? No, just I want a normal actor. How do I put in just an empty actor? I guess I could just put in a mesh and then be like, oh, it's an invisible mesh. What we really need is just a box collider, which is what we'll do. We'll just drop in a box collider. And then to delete the cone for now. We'll come back to it later. So the box collider is going to be the thing we actually grab when we grab, and everything else is just visual fluff for my own ease of development. Now the reason that a box collider is kind of nice is just because we can easily change the scale of it. So we can easily shrink it down to be the size we want it to be. There, like this. Now that we've got that box collider working, we're going to go ahead and set it up to be a grabbable. Yeah, that's not how to spell grabbable. Grabable. Hello? Thank you. And the way we set this up is quite simple. We change it from a collision preset like this to custom, and we just tell it that it's a grabbable. There you go. Easy as pie. Maybe it'll need some more work in the long run, but for now it's fine. We'll just duplicate this, move it over onto the other arm, and that should be all we need to do. So once we shrink this down, and we'll hit play, and we'll wander over to the chair, and I don't see any grabbable. What's wrong? Well, I don't know. This chair does have the grabbables, but maybe I set them up differently than they were set up here. So these are the other objects that we have as grabbable objects. If we look at their collision, they are set up to be grabbables, but maybe I changed these. These are all block except for grabbables. I forgot to turn the trace on. That's what I did. So over here in the grabbable chair, we've got to turn on the trace block. There we are. And now it should work. Yeah, see? Now we can grab the chair. Of course, once we grab the chair, we are stuck. We can't really do the movement anymore. So today we're going to work on a couple of different kinds of grabs. In addition to grabbing the chair, like going up. When you go up, you don't really have any feet control anymore because you're kind of in the air. You're kind of working your way around it. But for areas where it's tilted, what I would like to do is when you grab an object, I would like it to just pull you towards that object for the next half second or so. It's just like a temporary grab that you can use to pull your way up like 40-degree inclines. But first, let's go ahead and set up this chair as a ladder. So to do that, all we're going to need to do is rotate it 90 degrees. Yup. Move it up a little bit. And then we'll just duplicate it a couple of times, right? Oop. Let's go ahead and bring that up to 10. Boop. 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 Now let's give it a floor. And the floor is just going to be a box. So we'll just, here's our cube, ba-doom, and we'll just move it into place. See how it's not in the right place right now? Just stick it in the right spot like this. That is the worst possible floor material, a white box, but whatever. We'll just scale it up, scale it up. There we are. It's got a floor now. Exciting. And now we'll go ahead and see if we can climb it. Oh, can we get up there? We can. Look at that. It works great. The only issue here is that they are all rotated on the wrong axis. So the reason I can tell that is because when we grab it on the correct axis here, it actually pulls us to a spot that is off to the side. See that? How we're off to the side of the target here? That's because it is offset by, I believe, the y-axis. Whereas if we grab these guys over here, we end up being attached underneath them. See that? It's just 90 degrees off. My assumption is simply that I have the rotation wrong. I should be able to just rotate them. So, as odd as it sounds, it shouldn't be the red ones. Well, we'll rotate it and see whether that fixes it, but it is a little concerning to me. Hello? How come I can't get a rotate? Okay, so how do I switch to rotate manually? Here it is. I don't know why it's not letting me actually do it using the hotkey. Whatever. Now let's try again. Now we grab it. Is this off to the side? I mean, it's definitely I can't tell whether this is correct or not. We're colliding with something which is not what we want. It might be that it was 180 degrees off. That would make the most sense. So we're going to go ahead and rotate it another. This is why I wanted a visual indicator instead, but I guess it's fine. We get what we get. So, I can't really tell what's going on here. Because as you can see, I'm clearly not being able to climb up. Let's move them out into the space above. Manually change. Okay, so for some reason, you have to somehow manually select this area without deselecting the objects you've selected in order to change. Oh, what a pain. I'm still learning how to do some Unreal stuff, and some of the stuff they do is kind of crap. So the question is, maybe it's on this green line or something similar rather than the blue line. So we're just going to keep trying until we figure it out. Now we should have some that are floating in the sky, like here. Okay, so you can see that that is definitely completely wrong. I think it is the green line that we are using here. So we'll just change it. And obviously we'll bring down this to 5. And I guess we'll bring this up to 20? No. Well, yes, actually, that's probably the best bet. And then we'll bring it back down. But, of course, I don't have any idea whether or not that's the correct rotation. We're going to bring this down to 0, 0, 0, and rotate it anew here. And I'm doing it with the x-axis because I know I didn't use the x-axis. So that's the one axis I can be sure that I didn't use. Maybe I'm wrong, though. Maybe I accidentally did. All right, so now let's give it a shot here. Oh, I don't think it's working. Maybe what we need to do is add in a debug message, a debug line, showing us where we're trying to get to, where we're trying to stand off from. But really what I want to do is just make it so that I can understand this without having to do a whole bunch of bullshit. I want to be able to just put these in, these grabbable objects. All right, well, let's do it one more time here. Oh, is this... It might be that... No, that's not it. Sorry, I was thinking about what I would like it to do and be, and couldn't really get that to come out of my head. I've been working on a mech prototype, too, with some fun stuff there. All right, so if we take a look, you can see that we appear to be 90 degrees off, but I don't know how much of that is accurate. So we are going to, once again, off screen, just rotate it 90 degrees. And we'll keep trying this until it fucking works. I do not know which axis it's supposed to be, but the real issue is I don't even know that the axes are displaying properly in the editor. Okay, so that's... I mean, that looks an awful lot like it's the x-axis. No, it's just clumsy? Well, one more time. There's also some question as to whether I'm actually compiling it when I tell it to compile. I mean, what's going on here? All right, we're going to have to add in some debugs. I know this is brilliant stuff, right? Clicking on something invisible and then nothing happens. Brilliant work. Yeah, it happens. It's annoying. All right, so here's our first person character. We're going to just edit the blueprint for that. Here it is. So what we can see is that we are using the get actor up vector here to get a specific spot that we're trying to reach. And what we really need to do is to export this value here as a, well, Yes, we need to export this value here as a point, a visible point, a debug point. Don't really know how to do that. Draw, debug, there it is. We can draw a debug, whatever, right? Might as well draw a debug point. That's what we're trying to do. And to actually do that, we're going to want to just, I think, do it last, just for the sake of it here. So I don't really know whether this works or not. It's something that I haven't really tried before. But I can tell you that black is a bad color for it. We're going to go with vivid blue. That didn't seem to be vivid blue. That seems to still be black. Vivid blue. There we go. And the size, we'll make it a 0.1. No, that's 0.1. Alright, so we're going to just save that, compile it, and try one more time here. So now when we grab it, now we can't see anything very clearly here, but if we eject, boom, we should be able to see that vivid blue point at some place. Why can't I see any vivid blue point? Oh, it's 0.1, like 0.1 centimeters. All right, fine, make it 100. That's better. Yeah, that's more like it. So now we can see what we're looking at here, and it is in the wrong direction. We need to spin them in a specific direction. And I was right the first time. Not the first time, but I was right last time, and it's... For some reason, it didn't actually work. Maybe the player character needs to be adjusted, like the amount that they move needs to be adjusted. Oh, that's interesting. It's relative to the chair. That's what the problem is. Okay, so all that spinning accomplished nothing because the grab point is relative to the chair, not the arms. And I think that that's just a matter of us doing the wrong thing here. So here's where we find it. We get our sphere collision. Here's our channel. The impact point is fine. The hit actor. Here's the problem. We actually need the hit component, I guess. But the hit component isn't an actor. Can I just take the hit component? All right, well, let's turn this into a variable. And that will be how we handle this. So we'll just set them both. And then we'll see if we can do that math with the hit component instead. So here's where we get the grabbed object. We are instead going to grab the hit component here, which we can do with the same validated get. Here we go. And let's see whether or not... We can't do them because they're not actors. Do we have any vectors? Yeah, so we've got the same basic arguments here. It's just that they're not actors. They're other things. Can we get the location too? Get world location. There we are. So let's hook these up. And this is the same problem. Grabbed and grabbable. All right, so we're going to switch it all over from actors to components. So to do that, we are going to have to delete a lot of this crap and refactor it. Can I change these to components? I don't know which of these is the correct type. It's a primitive component. Okay. So I guess if we can convert these to primitive components, oh, converted both of them. That's nice. So if we do that, then we're going to find that there are some objects that are in error here, but we should be able to just reconnect things. Come on. And we don't need to do this. This. So we set the grabbable object, then we make our hand visible, then we branch. That seems fine. Then down here, we just do the same thing we did before. We can't do... So why is this grabbed object is now... There is no grabbed object? There it is down there. It's still an actor. We need to change this to a primitive component. I thought it was odd that they changed both, but it was just me misclicking. So here we have this. We're going to just drop it in here. These can be deleted. This can be deleted. This is going to be replaced. Can I replace it by right-clicking? No, I'll have to do it this way here. There we go. I think that's going to be fine. Yeah. I don't remember. So there should still be one point where it's broken. Why is this red? Is this red okay, or is this red Boolean? I think that's just red because it's a Boolean. It's not an error. It's just the same color as an error. So here we have grabbable object. It should have an equal. We'll just switch this over to a validated get. Ba-chow. 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 Delete that. Ba-chow. This doesn't need to exist. And then we set the grabbed object. Ba-chow. There we go. Oh, we set it to null. My bad. There we go. So now we should be 100% ready to rock. Let's try and compile it and see what sort of errors we get. Oh, we didn't get any errors. All right, now we're going to take a look and see whether or not that has done any sort of good. All right, that was perfect. It also means that the original orientation, the very original one, was the correct orientation. Fun. At least I think so. We'll know for sure in a second here. Yep, that's how you do it. And now you see we can actually climb the ladder because the place we're getting sucked to is off to the front of the ladder like a human would go if they were trying to climb a ladder. And we have a couple of issues here and there with some stuff, but overall I think it's okay. There's some question. Okay, so good, it's already got a collider. So the basic idea here is that you should be able to climb up like this, but you can see that it's not actually going up. Why is that? Is that because the collider is in the way? If we take a look at our character collider here, where is our collider? How do I get it to show us our character collider? Here is our capsule component. Usually, it's not that hard to see someone's collider. It's usually highlighted. It's just like, hey, look, here's the collider. But for some reason, I'm not seeing a collider here. Now, I believe that what's happening here is that we are colliding with the seat, and therefore we are not actually able to move up because we're not doing a teleport. We're doing a sweep, so physics gets in our way, and basically our shoulders, our chest, are bumping into the arms of the chair below us and refusing to let us move upwards. So there are a couple of ways around that. One way is to shrink our collider. We probably don't need a full-size collider. See that huge collider around us? It's just way too big. So we're going to try and reduce that. So go into this, open Blueprint Editor here. Here is the collider. And this is something I'm not sure. It's called a capsule component. I think we can just reduce the radius. I think that's going to be okay. Maybe make it 30. But one of the issues here is that the radius is actually, apparently, pretty far forward. And it might just be that that's too far forward and it needs to be moved back or something. We'll find out soon. The arms that come with this are a little bit silly and not really what we're looking to do here. Yeah, so that fixed it. Another problem we've got is that when we're climbing, it's very easy to accidentally fall, which is not really what we want. I mean, it may be in the long run really to do something about that, but for now, it's okay if it's a little bit clumsy because we're just trying to block it out, right? So the basic idea here is that we are climbing on a sinking vessel of some kind, you know, something that's underwater and water's flowing down, and we're trying to climb up the arms of the chairs. So there are times when that's not going to be vertical. We're using vertical just because it's easy to snap vertical, but for now, what we can do is we can just drop these grabbable chairs into that cube, and we'll call that cube wall or floor, and then we should be able to rotate it to suit us a little bit better, like this. So this is a situation where we do not have 90 degrees. And if we try and climb, we're probably going to be thwarted. Yeah, we are thwarted by our collider again. Really what we want to do is we want to be crawling on top of the chairs at this point. We want to be able to basically be prone on top of the chairs. And that at 90 degrees, that's what you are, because it just so happens that standing vertically and a 90-degree prone are the same thing. But in this case, I'm not really sure how the best way to go about it. Maybe we need to disable the collider? This is tough. I'm not really sure what the best answer is. Of course, the other opportunity here is if it's more than 190, it might be like, or more than 90, it might be like this, and then that might be like, oh, can we climb it while it's upside down? We shouldn't have any problem with this. Except for, of course, it's a little bit challenging to actually look. Okay, so yeah, as long as you don't try and climb it from behind the chair, it's quite trivial. Just arm over arm it. It's pretty basic. No challenge here at all. And that's good. It's not supposed to be challenging here. It's just that the way it is, the other way, it makes your legs hit the front of the chair, and the game's like, oh, you can't do that. Maybe I can just radically increase the step up height. Don't know if that's going to work. We're going to try it, though. So just move this back to being pointed the other way. No, okay, so it's not going to... It's not going to do the job for us. And our inability to walk with WSAD while we're doing this is obviously a serious issue. I don't know whether or not we need to turn off the walking. Let's try not turning off the walking and seeing what it does. So if we go back into the first-person character controller here, here's the event graph. And basically, let's go ahead and add some more comments down here. This is our drift. But what if we decide we're not going to actually turn off the walking? We can change it to let's try a bunch of different Let's try just walking, and then we'll try some of the other ones. And we might be able to customize some of them to work for us a little bit more here. Okay, so you can see that we are not really pulled very hard towards that point that we created. It is sort of bobbling us, but it's not really a strong tether. And I presume that's because the physics of the character, your fall rate accelerates rather dramatically over time. So I presume that we're sliding backwards, and as we pull towards it, the game doesn't reset our fall because we're considered to still be slipping. So what we got to do is we got to turn off the slipping. But let's try some of the other movement modes first, because it might be a little easier. Let's change it to swimming. Let's see whether or not swimming works a little bit better. It might not, though. We'll find out. Grab that, and this doesn't feel like swimming at all. Do I have to turn off gravity when I'm swimming? I don't really know how the swimming mode works. Let's try flying. So this is flying. And as you can see, we are sort of tethered to that place. So flying could work as long as we radically reduce the flying speed and increase the amount of push towards the blue point that we have. Let's go ahead and try that out. So if we look at our first-person character, the movement should be somewhere here. I don't ever remember where these things are. Here they are. So here's our swimming, max swim speed, braking, buoyancy. Here's our flying, max fly speed. We're going to drop that down to 100. And we're going to just see whether or not that works. Now the reason for flying is just because you can sort of grip and push with your arms, which will allow you to move in whatever direction you want, like this. This feels pretty good, actually. Yeah, this will work. This means that we wouldn't be on top of the chairs. You see, if we try and get on top of the chairs, it looks like this, which is clearly like walking on top of the chairs. Which maybe that's not too bad, as long as we actually show a leg, like I got to do some IK legs or something. But it also gives you the opportunity to do it here, right? Let's try swimming again. So the reason I want to try swimming is because it has a buoyancy factor, which we might be able to alter. So if we take a look down here, got the swimming movement here. If we reduce this down to 100, this buoyancy factor is going to allow us to change how much flying we can do. So we're going to try it. Okay, so that's not buoyant enough. We'll just keep trying. That's still not buoyant enough? I think that the swimming mode has some special logic in it that I'm not really getting at the moment. There's not really many options. It's not like the swimming mode comes with a lot of tweakables. I guess flying is the best option. There's a lot of things I don't like about flying just yet, but for now I think it's fine. We'll live with it. I might change it down from 100 to like 50. Let's try it. Let's try even slower flying. Because basically this is the primary motivation that we've got. This is what actually gets us to move the most, right? It's the grip, it's the handhold. So we want to have a tough time, you know, moving away from that. But to be honest, this feels pretty good. This is workable. This idea of flying. I'm not so sure about descending like that. We're going to have to work on some logic for going downhill, because clearly I wouldn't be like grabbing. See, this is my hand, right? But clearly I wouldn't be grabbing the next thing with my hand while I'm going downhill, because that's like grabbing between my legs. I would just be putting my foot on it. But I think we can probably have some logic to do different IK, where it's just like, oh, well, use the foot for this piece instead of the hand. I think we'll be able to do it just fine. We'll still consider it grabbed. We'll just use the foot. All right, so that was fun. Let's do a couple of different experiments now. One of the experiments we're going to want to do is to make it so that we check and see whether or not... Well, first off, we got to rotate this 90 degrees like this and just make sure that it works. It should work fine. I don't think there'll be any issues. Oh, well, there's issues if I don't click on it. Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. But I also want to make sure that this will work in more claustrophobic environments. So what we're going to do is we are going to create a roof, which we'll do just by cutting and pasting and then moving like this. You know, just bring it in pretty tight here. That's not really what I want to do, though. We're going to try it, but we'll see in a minute here. I might have to refactor and retry it again here. So, yeah, this is going to be fine. I don't see any issues here at all. Let's remove this back down to a neutral flat. That's not flat. That's flat. Now when we cut and paste this, we can move it up specifically 200 meters off of the first floor. So if we do that, we should be able to... 200 meters. Yeah. 200 centimeters. 2 meters. That's not 2 meters at all, though. Why is that so small? Oh, because there's a thickness, of course. What was it? That looks right. So this is how it would look with a pretty tight little roof. And I think that's going to be fine. I don't think there's going to be any issues with that, but let's go ahead and do some tilting. Make sure that we know what we're up for here. Come on, mouse. Behave. Just rotate this. So here is that one that was giving us grief. This is not a very strong like tilt. I can actually just walk up it. When we can walk up it, what we're probably going to want to do is do a boost instead of changing modes. We'll do that later. I can still walk up it. I know that I set how steeply we can walk up things, but I'm still surprised by which angles are which. There we are. Just grab it, grab it, grab it. There we are. Yeah, no problems at all. That's good. I like it. I like it. So this is what I was talking about, right? You can see how if we're on top of these chairs like this, and we look down and we click here, this is not us reaching down with a hand. This is us reaching down with a foot. Now we do have a problem here where we drift a little bit, but I kind of like that. If there was actually a wall behind these as there was supposed to be, it wouldn't be an issue. Might as well make that wall, I suppose, which we can do by unrotating just for the moment. And then we will cut and paste and then spin and put it behind the chairs. And then we can just do a little bit more extreme rotating. How about if this was completely vertical like this? I don't expect any issues here, but it's a good thing to try. So we can do it like this. We can also come around the top like this. All told, I'm having a little bit of a hard time going up. I'm not 100% sure why. We'll have to work with that a little bit. But I think I like it. I think it works okay. Lots of work left to do to make it into a game, though, obviously. There are lots of other kinds of grips. It's not just the chairs, but I wanted to do the chairs first since they were the first thing I thought of when I built this. Let's see. I'm having a tremendous brain fart at this point because I didn't sleep. So, there are a lot of other questions, like how do you get through a door when it's vertical? Let's try that out. Let's try and figure out how that works. So we're going to build a door here. So to build a door, we are just going to move this chair out of the way and then put together a cube. We're going to go ahead and give this a new material, which we'll call wall. And we will make this material just kind of a dusky color. It's the same color as cloth at the moment. We'll figure it all out later. And of course, we want to bring the roughness up at least a little bit here. Maybe not that high. Maybe not. Maybe we want it to be shiny. It doesn't really matter. It's all going to be changed around in Unreal anyway. So what we do is we will shrink this down to something a little bit more wall-sized, like maybe that. And this should be a 2-meter wall. It should be a 2-meter block, right? So if we want to think about how big a door is, it doesn't really matter because we can rescale this as we need. But I think we're going to want to make it a little bit taller than 2 meters, just a touch, which we can do just by grabbing and dragging. Let's go ahead and make it, you know what, let's go ahead and use extrude there. And we're just going to go and estimate some stuff, and then we'll go and see how that estimation works out. So as before, we're going to want to cut. Hello, cut. Why can't I cut? Oh, because I'm an idiot. There we are. And we're going to want to add in a mirror mod. Turn on clipping and delete half of this. And then we can put in a hole for our door shape. We're not too fussed about it at the moment in terms of making sure that there is an actual door. It should be fine to... Oop, too many verts. Undo. Just delete these 2 verts. It should be fine just to start with a doorway, and we'll work it out later. Alright, so we'll re-import this and bring in the door. There it is. I forgot to UV unwrap it. It's fine, we'll UV unwrap it later. It's not a big deal. And let's return this temporarily to flat. Wow, that didn't become flat. There we are. And that way, when we drop the door in, it'll be in the correct alignment, right? Like this. So we drop the door into the floor. Boom. And then we are able to do the dinosaur. I'm not at all convinced that that has any... Well, maybe I guess it does. It's fine. We'll just move it. Doop, 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 doop. All right. So now we have a door. And just so that we know we can fit through it and stuff like that, let's go ahead and do some walking. Okay, so the door is not tall enough for our goofily oversized collider. This is one of the complaints I have about Unreal. The collider, the whole main starting character, the one that you wander around as, whether it's first person or third person, he's a huge guy. He's much bigger than he looks, and he looks like he's 6'5". So I think we'll just keep reducing them down until they are a reasonable size. So just find our character. There he is. And if we come back over into the viewport here, this is like 10 or 15 meters tall. We're going to want to reduce that considerably. So according to this, it's not even 2 meters tall. That is a lie. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on with the collider that makes it so much bigger than it seems to be, but we're going to drop this down to 85. The only issue is that that might cause us to sink even further into the floor. We'll find out. Yeah, so I still can't fit through. Is maybe the problem that the door collider is convex? Let's find out. But, okay. So the problem was it was using a default convex collider. Maybe that's a big problem with these chairs too. Maybe they're using box colliders and that's why it was so hard to get on top of them. That's fine, we'll fix that right now. It's over here on the wrong screen, you can't see it. We'll live with that for now. So now that we are no longer bumping our heads on the door, let's make this into a grabbable door. The first step to do that is to really put it above our heads so that we have to worry about grabbing it. See, we want to be able to grab that and climb up it, right? So how do we do that? Well, the real issue here is that this is actually going to be 2 different doors. We need to be able to grab through it, and we need to be able to grab and go up, but we also need to be able to grab and go down. If the door is flipped over, we need to be able to go through the door either direction. Trying to figure out how to do this is a little bit complicated because our primary means of motion are to be sucked towards a destination point, a grabbing destination point. And that's not going to work so well if, if it's just like in the middle of the door frame or something. I'm not sure that's going to work. Let's try it though. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. Here it is. So here is our door frame. Oh my god, I'm just an idiot, huh? Right, so... So why is this so short and fat? Is this... Oh, it's inheriting a scale. Okay, so I didn't get it wrong in Blender. I just got it wrong here. It's attached to an object that has a scale, so it inherited that object's scale. That's what happened there. So we don't want that. So we'll just go ahead and undo that, and we're going to add in those grabbable points, which are just going to be box colliders. And the grabbables are, of course, set up as custom, grabbable, reachable, like that. So in order to make this work, we're going to need to put them on the door frame like this. Now, I believe that it is the green arrow that is pointing to the direction that we will move when we grab them, I believe. So we'll try that out. Just set that up. Why is there like a 9-degree problem here? Weird. The problem is I don't know whether or not I just inverted the green arrow. I might have. Why is it producing roll? The hell's going on? Oh, is it inside the static mesh component and the static mesh component is rotated or something? No. Why is this? Oh, what the hell? Undo. There shouldn't be any weird rotations or anything. This is not supposed to be rotated at all. So why is it adding roll when I try and move things? All right, we'll leave it like this and hope for the best. But for now, let's go ahead and make this nice and small. That one's the wrong one. Let's make that part nice and big. There we are. And then we can cut and paste and move it over. And one of these... What the fuck? That's fucking weird. What's it doing? It's not rotated, so why is it doing that? Look we're in Gizmo local coordinates, but there's no fucking rotation on the local coordinates. Maybe the problem here is that it's rotated in... No? The fuck? There's some rotation stupidity happening here. I don't know what it is. Let's just start over. This is something's wrong here. We're just gonna delete this whole thing. This time we're not gonna put it inside of another object because I think that's what caused it to have a weird glitch. There we are. Now let's try it again. Once again, we're going to rotate, I don't know, this direction. It's fine. I don't see any signs that it is randomly rotated. Of course, the proof will be if we can copy and paste it. Oh, look at that. It just worked. Hooray. So we're just going to try that out. Obviously, we've got to change them over to be grabbables. And let's just take a look and see where our grabbing is. In the middle and off to the side. So one of them is correct and the other one is 180 off. I don't really know which. We'll just rotate one of them, and if it's the wrong one, we'll try again. No, so that was the right one. And you can see that this creates a dot in the middle of the door frame, which is, in theory, the place where we're going to try and rotate around. Let's go ahead and put this bad boy into place as a grabbable vertical object. and just see what happens when we try to grab it. Now, in theory, it's not going to work out, and we're going to need to do some more stuff. So you can see that if we're trying to get through it, flying is not really helping. Now, I believe the issue here is simply that that we are offsetting downwards to be gravitically correct. We've got a downwards tilt, if I remember correctly. Let's take a look here. Yeah, here it is. See this? Negative 100Z. So basically what we do is we find our location, and then we move downwards some, and then that becomes our new location, which means that we constantly drift physically downwards to make up for the fact that we turned off gravity when we did this. That might be why swimming didn't work out. But the issue here, well, you know, I mean, we can turn that to 0 and see what the difference is. But I think we're going to be like very floaty. So with that at 0, we can get through, but it's very hard for us to actually, you know, escape the door's clutches, as you can see. It can be done, but it is a tremendous chore. What we really want to be able to do is to grab the ledge of the door and pull ourselves up. And I think that we're going to want to have a new command. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to build a new command. So if you notice, if we click on the same thing repeatedly, nothing changes. We just continue to grab it. But I think what we really want to do is if we click on something that we're already on, if our grabbable and grabbed are the same, then what we want to do is put ourselves on top of that object. We want to try and go on top of it. Now, what does on top of it mean is the question. And I'm thinking it always means Z plus 150, something like that. Let's try it out. Let's go ahead and try it out. So to do that, we're going to need to add a new variable, which we are going to call pull up. We're trying to do a ledge climb. There we are. So when we click, which is, I believe, here. No, that's fine. That's drift. That's grab. Here it is. What we're going to want to do is, if get is valid, we're going to want to check and see whether grabbable object and grabbed object are the same already. So we'll just expand this a little bit and move these over to the side. There we go, like that. And then we are going to do an if equals. Okay, so grab bubble and grab bed. Do we need a conditional grab bed? I think we might. No, because I can compare to a null, right? It shouldn't be a difficult thing to compare to a null. That should be fine. Where's grabbable and grabbed? Am I high? Where did they go? Oh, there it is. Weird. Okay, so for some reason they're inside of components. I don't know why they're considered components and not variables. Did I make a mistake with these, I wonder? We got this hit component here. I don't believe we're actually using that anymore for anything. We're just gonna try and track it down. Can I have you highlight things? What just... I just turned it into an array. Okay, so since it didn't even complain about that, clearly it's not in use. So for some reason, it counts as a component if it is a single object. But if I change it to an array or a set or a map, it counts as a variable. I'm not sure what the difference between components and variables are in this case. I thought a component was like a game object, like an in-world... Maybe that is all it is. Maybe it's just because it's referring to an in-world object type. It counts as a component. So it's not a component on this object. It's just the class is categorized as category component. Maybe. That's what I assume. Anyway, we are going to want to get that grabed object. Just to drop that in. Compare it. So if they are equal, then we are going to want to set the pull-up to that. So set pull-up. There we go. Now the thing about that is that'll only happen if it's valid. There we are. Beautiful. Beautiful garbage. So that should work, but pull-up has not been defined yet. So what we're going to do is down here when we do this part, right now we have this minus 50 or whatever, right? I changed it to 50 because I felt like it. And that's just us adding a value of our choice to our destination lerp point. It's a little bit hard to read, so let's go ahead and expand it. Just, I don't know, deal with it. So basically, we've got all of these elements that that we're currently using flat, and we're going to need to turn them into something else. This one in particular, we need to not send in that negative 50 as its own thing. We need two different vector3 constants, and we need to switch between them. So we'll do a vector3 switch. Is it a switch? I don't know which way to... I don't remember any of the keywords for this. No, that's not right at all. Fork? Branch? I mean, a branch is this, which we could use this, but it makes more sense to be able to choose between two vector3s. Oh, look at that. Hold on, I gotta reboot the whole thing. Give me a moment. Unreal between two, or select. It probably is called select now that I'm thinking about it. Hold on, I got an email from the boss. Yeah. Some of our sites are not behaving very well, but that's what you get when you have physical sensors. Sometimes the physical sensors are broken or in the wrong place. And I can't really do anything about it except for say they're broken or in the wrong place. So I believe I was trying to do a switch, right? So switch. No, I tried a switch, didn't I? Choose? Select, that's what I thought it might be. Select. Vector. There. Yeah, that's what we want. It was select. I just had to go through every possible word that it could have been and try them all. So basically these select option, we'll just bring it down into the correct place. It's definitely not in the right spot here. We're going to use this for this, right? So if it's false, we'll do it negative 50. And if it's true, we'll do it plus 150. We'll try 150. And then, of course, we're going to want to pick A. It's backwards. So 150 and negative 50. And then we're going to use get pull-up for that. Come on. There we are. So then we save it, compile it, Move this off screen, hit play. All right, so let's give this a shot here. If we click once, you can see how the dot is in the middle of the door. If we click again, you can see how we go way above it. The dot, however, is still in the middle of the door. We'll have to think about exactly what we want to do with that. But that's how you do it. So if we wanted to pull up, we could do it. Just hop, 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 hop. Now the idea here is, of course, first off, there's going to be some unique animations involved. Second off, 150 is probably too much. And third off, it's going to cost you a lot more exhaustion. We're going to bring that down to 100 and see whether or not it still works. Yeah. Just barely. Perfect. Wah! All right, so that's pretty good. We've got a very basic setup here where we've turned a weakness, which is the fact that clicking on the same thing twice didn't do anything, into a strength. Clicking on the same thing twice now lifts you up onto the ledge. And as time goes on, we will have to figure out some details on exactly how we want to set this stuff up. One of the other problems is that we are in fact using global vertical values for where you want to try and climb to, and that might be incorrect. For example, if we were to turn this another couple of degrees, hold on, this door is not inside it yet. Let's drop it inside. If we were to turn this so that it's on its back like so, and then hit play, it doesn't necessarily make any sense that we would want to go up. We might want to, I guess it's okay. Even though it is up, it's still in the right direction, so it works. We'll figure out exactly what we want with it later, but this is good. This is working out. Yeah. All we need to do now is everything. The basic idea is pretty good. There's lots of stuff left to do. We could work on the exhaustion meter, but I don't want to. I want to leave that for pretty late. We could work on kinetic arms, but I think I'll need to do a tutorial on that. So I don't want to do that on camera. I think that what we're really going to do is stop. Just an hour here and there. That's the nature of the beast here. So thanks for stopping by. If you stopped by or watched it later or whatever, I'll see you folks around.